You know, I was just saying on stream last night how the Persona franchise is amongst my favorite franchises of all time, and that Persona 5 is probably in the running for one of the top 10 greatest video games ever made. So if I spoke this into existence, I apologize in advance, because apparently Atlus thinks that JRPGs need to move on and get easier. Welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idle, and yep, from PushSquare.com, it's coming to a turning point. Persona metaphor director says Atlus RPGs must attract a wider audience. It's not as if Persona 5 wasn't one of the just most recognized and highest selling, if not the highest selling thing that Atlus has ever put out. Metaphor ReFantazio did insane numbers. It was nominated for Game of the Year last year. It didn't win, but it was nominated last year, as in 2024, not 2025. I get we're in 2026 now. Point is, yeah, they've been doing pretty well for themselves, and considering the overall adoration that Metaphor ReFantazio got, you would think they probably did attract a large number of new fans, and yet here we are with them effectively saying the modern audience route. But yeah, I'm a nerdy news channel. Let's go ahead and get into this before we do hit that subscribe button. Again, I'm very nervous. I'm truly concerned for Persona 6 at this point. And frankly, I'm concerned for the upcoming remake of Persona 4 hearing this. It feels like Atlus is a bit of a crossroads. The long-standing Japanese developer behind the hit RPG franchises like Persona have been relying on the same kind of formula for decades now. Even when it attempts something new, like 2024's excellent Metaphor ReFantazio, it still falls back on the Persona-style design that rocketed the company to its current heights. Great! Then don't fix what ain't broken. What game, might I ask you guys, what game recently just came out and crushed it that had a very Persona-esque UI? Ah, why yes, you were correct. Expedition 33. So if Expedition 33 borrowed heavily, might I add, from the Persona formula, why on God's green earth are they picking now of all times to say, yeah, we need to go in a different direction? As it turns out, though, Persona metaphor director Katsura Hashino, well aware of the potential dangers that come with staying strictly in your lane. In an interview with Game Informer, Hashino stresses that Atlus' future is all about finding ways to evolve our JRPG and what it looks like. More so than just latching onto a specific genre of game, we're going back to how we can evolve our JRPG and what it looks like for us. For us, it's coming to a turning point. We want to really take it to the next level in terms of how our JRPGs are, the veteran explains. How is making things easier taking it to the next level? Because that is pretty much what this boils down to. They want more accessibility, that way more people can get invested in these games, which of course is going to mean that the quality of what makes Atlus games is going to drop. And if the quality is not going to drop, at least the identity of what makes them what they are is going to change. Because, as we all know, when you try and please everybody, you please nobody. Core fans aren't going to like this if they stray too drastically. And again, they're worried about bringing in new fans when clearly they've been doing that. They've again, look at the vast sales numbers for Persona 5, Persona 5 Royal, and Metaphor ReFantazio. Persona 3 did the recent remake did relatively well, and you must be doing something right if you've got the funding to do a full ground up remake for Persona 4 as well, meaning you've got a new audience that probably didn't play the original because it was back on the PS2 that is now going to be experiencing the game for the first time. This is insane. That's not to say that Atlus will suddenly pivot to something that's completely different for the sake of it. Hashino continues, of course we want to retain our strength, whether that be our narrative elements, the narrative or elements that make us JRPGs. So what kind of change is Hashino looking for? Well, as much as hardcore fans may not want to hear it, he does mention accessibility, concerns suggesting that more can be done to bring Atlus titles to a wider audience. But full stop. The difficulty ceiling is why we enjoy these games. As a legit hardcore Persona fan, right? Frankly, I've not played Fantasio yet. It's on my backlog. There's a lot of games. I do have it. It'll be something that's going to be one of the next, probably the next 2 to 3 games I get to. But the point is, from what I hear, mechanically, it's basically Persona without the social links, and it's still a game I've been heavily looking forward to. But be that as it may, why would I, as a Persona fan, be interested in a Persona game that is dumbed down, that is easier, that is more accessible to people that aren't, necessarily familiar with the genre, with the tropes, with the narrative elements, with everything that makes a Persona game a Persona game. Persona games are already easier versions of Shin Megami Tensei games. With these changing times, you do feel the need to update our format and create games that would be more widely playable, not just within the JRPG realm, but something that would be easier, more accessible for a wider audience. We're hoping to update that format with that in mind. He admits, this sounds awful. As alluded, these are the kinds of comments that'll no doubt spark debate amongst the Atlus faithful, but we must admit we're now really interested in seeing what developers come up with. Speak for yourselves. I'm not. Now, do I want to be wrong? Would I be happy to be wrong? Yeah, absolutely. I would have no issue being wrong, and it turns out, hey, this is some great shit. Persona 6, best game ever. Things to that effect. But when they start using this lingo, when they start using this terminology, when they start saying that these are changing times, we feel the need to update our format, widely playable, modern audiences, all these things that just can be summed up to modern gamers are dumb, and we want to take advantage of all the dumb people. That is effectively what they're saying. You'd think that Persona 6 would be the first game that really try and tackle this new direction, but as you all know, that project could still be a long ways off from actually releasing. Guys, it's been like a fucking decade, if not more. Can you hurry the fuck up? What do you make of Hashino's observations? Well, what do I make of it? Doesn't really matter. Let's see what the internet got to say. Alright, Persona Metaphor Director says Atlus RPGs must attract a wider audience. Let's see what the comments have to say. So they're getting ruined. Speedrun closures before you get to a deep, good idea, really. I mean, I doubt they're going to have any sort of closures or whatnot. They are owned by Sega. Sega's doing pretty well. Metaphor did well. All the Persona 5 re-releases and whatnot have done well. So yeah, I don't think there's going to be any sort of closures. But I get the sentiment. Does every studio need to go bankrupt learning this lesson? Oh well, at least we got 5 Persona games. A wider audience. Then we got Gorlock. Fucking absolutely. Just don't touch the jazz soundtracks or the existential dread. No, I mean, yes, don't touch that as well, but don't touch any of it. The high, I said this earlier, the high level of difficulty, the barrier to entry for these games is what makes the core audience love them so much, because these are games that actually take skill and talent to be good at. This is no different than if, like, the Souls-like fans came out and said, if they came out and they made it, not the Souls-like fans, but the studios came out and said, we're going to start making these Souls games a little bit easier. Elden Ring was already criticized by some for being the easiest in the From Software franchise, and they just keep doing that and keep doing that. Again, you're going to just dilute your fan base. I can see why they'd be upset about that. I believe Metaphor achieved quite impressive recognition. They're just getting too greedy now and may get burned off from their own extremely faithful fans and niche to please the general audience, which is constantly moved by trends and hard to build loyalty. I think that is a brilliant comment. Absolutely. Thank God those games are getting ruined. Next, I hate them. Dick. That's what Square Enix tried to do. Look at them now. That's an excellent point. That is an excellent point. Compare Atlus to Square Enix. Atlus has always been, by comparison, in a very comfortable position. Now, obviously, yes, people who Atlus is, unless you're a gamer, they ain't gonna know. Square Enix has broken into the mainstream. They've broken into, like, the public consciousness. Everybody knows what Final Fantasy is. Atlus has never had that sort of success, but that's also probably why they've been able to maintain such quality games for as long as they have. Because, like, I've been over here talking about Persona. I haven't even mentioned Shin Megami Tensei. And then Persona has an extensive library of games on the PS2, many of which, like, weren't even JRPGs. Like, they had a horror game, Rule of Rose, which, I mean, again, you wouldn't think of it as a typical Atlus game at all, since it's not JRPG, but, like, the themes, the elements that go into it, the psychological aspect, the character aspect, it's actually got Atlus written all over it, and it's got a very dedicated fan base. Catherine aren't JRPGs, Catherine's puzzle games, but again, from the art style to the way it's written, Catherine is a very Atlus game. Compare that to Square Enix. I mean, by the way, Square Enix is walking it back. Square Enix is walking it back, at least so they claim. They're going to try and go back to their roots because they've had such an abysmal time. He's talking about gameplay. If you actually read the article, not going... But again, I agree. Well, to be fair, it could mean both. I mean, if you're looking for a larger audience, they're going to appeal to these larger demographics. That's going to include, maybe some social aspects. But that's not even the argument here. And I don't know anybody making that argument. No one in the comments thus far has made that argument. Yeah, I am talking about the gameplay. Why would you change what isn't broken? Why fix what ain't broken? Why change the thing? Like, let's say they're talking about the gameplay, say they're talking about the mechanics, let's say they're talking about the UI. Then again, the ultra mega hyper banger hit Expedition 33 effectively lifted from Persona 5, which was the UI. Alright, let's see. What else are people saying? a wider audience. That's corporate speak for trying to make a safe product for everyone that eventually is made for nobody. Bingo, bango, bongo. That is exactly what I said at the very beginning of this video, is that when you make something for everybody, you make something for nobody. And that is what we're going to see. Again, I want to be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But I look at patterns. We all look at patterns. And we've seen this time and time again. How many franchises have we seen get effectively just destroyed because they start trying to go for everybody, for a wider audience? Because they're never happy. They're never satisfied. This is levels of greed that will ruin your company, or at the very worst, ruin the games and ruin your fan base. Persona, Atlus, or Kut. Look at that, bro. You got me agreeing with Grums. Son, you got me agreeing with Grums. How fucked up you gotta be to get your boy here agreeing with Grums? Alright, Metaphor Fantasio, director, Hashino. Okay, so yeah, I saw this. This is actually where we pulled the article from. I trust Hashino, but this is a very dangerous to say as an established director, as it risks alienating existing fans. Well, it already has. I'm feeling pretty fucking alienated. Easier / more accessible. When you were in charge of Persona's metaphor is a red flag. The calendar and combat are already too simplified. Don't want pairing either. Atlus games are suffering recently from lowering their standards in the name of accessibility, while still pretending to be catering to the hardcore. You can see this from the difficulties introducing themselves, do you hate yourself and such, but still being extremely easy. I never played Persona 4 on the hardest difficulty. The hardest I played on is hard mode. And even, I would still say that Persona 4 is more difficult than Persona 5. But I think a lot of that just comes down to quality of life stuff, not necessarily, and you can maybe even consider that quality of life stuff to be accessibility that came about like in Persona 5, for example. So honestly, they're probably making a pretty good argument here. I have to sit and think about that, but that is probably a pretty good argument. I'm fine with easy mode, but I want them to cater to normal instead of lowering the bar of hard and above. Persona's Merciless feels like a standard difficulty when it shouldn't. I mean, yeah, I can agree with that. It's very difficult in the early game, but once you kind of get a handle on what makes it merciless, it does. You adjust to it pretty fucking quick. You do adjust to merciless mode pretty fucking quick. In its current state, you can reduce damage by 70% through buffs alone, and damage by 300 to 500% through passives alone. This is Shin Megami Tensei tier damage on bosses with a fraction of the stats and HP, with obviously no steps required. It literally cannot get more accessible than this. Well, that's the thing, is it doesn't seem accessible because it requires, brace for it, black people, reading. That was fucking funny. Persona has simple damage, healing, and buffs as its skills, all vertically upgrading. Beyond very specific scenarios, there is nearly no form of strategic setups. And again, yes, this is incredibly correct. Like, what the strategy for Persona is not in the combat, is not in the dungeon crawling. The strategy for Persona is all in the social aspects. So yeah, I think whoever this Miovcat person is entirely correct. They're, yeah, I don't know what this account is, but I'm digging it. Metaphor isn't immune to this design either. The whole game is designed around the unscathed triumph, and while it takes a while longer to learn, it's more one strat fits all to one shot than Persona games towards the end game, even in early stages. Another issue is the calendar. It's becoming increasingly obvious that this is being slowly phased out, with every element slowly being replaced or removed with linear, automatic progression. I genuinely hope I'm wrong because of the whole appeal of Persona to begin with. I completely agree. I don't know where they can come up with the idea that the calendar is getting phased out. Again, I haven't played the Persona 3 remake yet, so I don't know if maybe they streamlined some of the calendar aspects in the remake. I will know once I play it, because that's I've been going through and replaying Persona games actually quite a bit lately. I replayed Persona 4, did Persona 5 Strikers recently. I don't know what I'm doing next, whether it be a run through of Persona 5 Royal, or if I'm going to go ahead and do Persona 3 Reload. But if I do Persona 3 Reload, I want to actually go back and play P3 Portable first, and then Reload, and then like compare the two, compare and contrast, see what all is different. So the point is, by Persona 5 standards, the calendar hasn't really changed all that much, at least from 3 and 4. I don't know if there was changes in 3 in the remake, so if they say that the calendar is being phased out, I want to know what evidence they have to support that. Persona side content is more than social links, and you can deny it all you want. These games are made to be played minimum twice. Yeah, minimum twice. Like, Persona, you are never going to get a perfect run. I mean, I'm not going to say never, but you are more than likely not going to get a perfect run on a first playthrough. You can get a perfect run if you do a second playthrough on a New Game Plus. You're free to not like it and also use a guide to brute force it, but I have the experience and data mining to back this up. By streamlining every calendar event, you're effectively only affecting only natural players on the target of the change. The guide users are unaffected, as the guide would have helped them through it anyway. They are in fact so unaffected. Even Metaphor got dialogue cheat sheet. Did it really? Oh, look at that. No leads, +2. Well, it's a big save, +1. Wow. Again, I still think Metaphor's going to be an incredible game, but yeah, I don't like that sort of accessibility right there. On the topic of parrying, not to continually beat the drum of panic, everything is becoming Expedition 33, there's a valid point to be made here. A huge part of the appeal of Shin Megami Tensei is demon building and turn-based strategies, both offense and defense. Parrying negates that. Atlus games do need to change, but statements like the above indicate the complete opposite direction. Atlus is the only developer making games catering to a specific crowd, theme, and mechanics, and and if they begin to stray away from it, some indie will eventually pick up the slack. That is entirely true. If Atlus decides to fuck over their entire fan base with this, indies are going to rise up and do what Atlus used to do, and they're going to take the crown. And maybe that might not be such a bad thing. There's some indies out there that already try to capture the feeling, like Eastern Knights or Runa, and best of luck to them, but none are specifically targeting the same spec as P Studio to my knowledge. If Atlus abandons the original formula, this will eventually be addressed. TLDR, Hashino is my GOAT, but I don't really agree with what he said. No, I think that these are all, from the ones that I know about, very good criticisms. The ones that I'm not so sure about, he made a good case for. What else do we got here? Persona Metaphor Revantasia directors. Okay, more so. All right, that's just them quoting it. Such a shame the industry doesn't have space for games with niche appeal anymore. The entire appeal of Atlus games was how unique and distinct they were. Yes, you look at an Atlus game, not even just, again, whether it be by the mechanics, if it's a JRPG, whether it be by the visual style, you know it's an Atlus game. And that's what they don't need to fucking be for everybody. Not everything needs to be for everybody, and that's okay. If you want to talk about growing your audience, all right, put more into marketing. Metaphor Revantasia was marketed pretty good goddamn hard, and guess what? It was beloved. You don't get to be a Game of the Year nominee by just being a good game. It also has to be in the public fucking consciousness. It has to be something that players have responded to, that players have loved. And guess what? If you were a niche game with a niche fan base that only bought that and it didn't go very far, but you made enough to support like the core fan base, those aren't the sort of games that get nominated for Game of the Year. So clearly, Atlus had found a way to break the mold already, probably large in part due to the slow build success of the Persona games. Does every studio need to go bankrupt learning this lesson? Okay, I saw that one. Let's see. Alright, so that's just them doing the quote again. The words are a death sentence for a franchise. Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, we pretty much got the gist of it. Which is why our next title will be introducing a parry system. Yeah, so many people are jumping to the parry aspect. And, look, I don't know that a parry system would be, the worst thing to have in let's say, a Persona game, for example. Maybe it would. I'd have to really think about it. They've had, parry systems in other games, if I recall. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure there's, not the exact same as in Expedition 33, but, ways to reflect perfect timing, things to that effect. But yeah, I could be wrong. Either way, at the end of the day, this seems to have a lot of core Atlus fans very concerned. I get the average everyday gamer probably hasn't thought too much about it, doesn't care about this, because yeah, they would, maybe there's been this barrier to entry for Persona or for Metaphor or for Shin Megami Tensei or whatnot, and they love hearing this. Well, that's great. I'm glad you love hearing it, but fuck you. You're wrong, because that just means these games aren't made for you. Look, there's some games they made for me. I'm bad at FPS games, all right? I'm inherently bad at FPS games. It's not that I don't like them. I try my best if my buddies want to play them or whatever, but I'm not good at them, and that's fine. I know I'm not good at them. You know where my strengths lie? JRPGs, technical fighters, platformers, survival horror for sure. Survival horror, that's my bag. There's some people who can't play survival horror games, not true blue one. I'm not talking about these Resident Evil 2 remakes where everything's fucking handed to you. I mean going back, playing OG survival horror games, inventory management, ammo scarcity, taking big hits of damage. You die after 3-4 zombie bites, whatever. Some people ain't good at those sorts of games. That's fine. They're not for you. There's other games you can play. You want to be scared while you play a game? Go play Five Nights at fucking Freddy's or something. But yes, Persona games, Atlus games in general, those are for me. Those are the sorts of games I love. And I'm sorry, I don't want to share my toys with people that are going to break my toys. It really does boil down to simply as that. So yeah, it looks like the larger Atlus fan base is very worried about this, as they should be. These are my opinions. Let me know yours in the comments down below, or let me know on X, buy me at Bolt the Word, and please do subscribe. I am a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news every day. Not always about what's going on in the gaming scene, but anime, movies, music, Magic the Gathering, you name it. Check us out on Instagram at wordsofparadise_Leon and become a member for $4.99 a month. You can join the Discord. Choose the articles you go over on a day-to-day basis. Choose the videos to react to on the daily streams, and of course get involved with over 250 other vital idols. We are a bright, beautiful, glowing, vibrant community that I cannot wait to grow even further, because we do care about diversity. Only one kind of diversity of thought. If that's interesting to you, join the Discord, hit subscribe, and until next time, it's all here in the Nerdosphere. This has been Words of Paradise.